programs immerse students with a highly experiential learning environment enhanced by digital technologies. We place students at the center of all that we do. We are Niagara College.
Tired of searching for that one keyboard shortcut? We solve technology so you don't have to. At SkyComp, we are lifelong learners, always upgrading our skills and reading about the next new IT thing. Go to skycomp.ca/learn to better use the programs you work with every day. SkyComp Solutions, your technology support partner.
What a beautiful day, right? So who was here in 2019? So we're 2024 now, and in those years we had about 300 people, right? Collecting a lot of pounds of waste. How many? 10,000 pounds, right? So give yourself an applause for that. So people come together to make communities more beautiful, and like Walker does, is build a sustainable future, right? Thanks for coming out. We know we have 2 days paid volunteering. 1,200 people, 2 days. That's 2,400 days of volunteering work, which is more than 10 people full-time every day doing volunteer work, which is fantastic. So let's have a great day. Let's collect a lot of waste. Be safe. Everybody has their gear on.
Well, I think really, the greatest gift that we can give each other is time. It's really a part of Walker's DNA, and it has been since we first started in 1887. It's a great way to create a connection in the community in which we live and work. And I think we recognize at Walker that there's a real need to care for our community to be able to create meaningful impact and honor our promise that we have of building a sustainable future together, and that word together is really important. Niagara's a great place to volunteer because it's such a unique place with a huge diversity of possible experiences. As an example, an event like the World Rowing Championships really can only happen in a couple places in Canada, of which Niagara's one.
When you do Lake Canada Games, when you do World Rowing Championships, people from outside of Niagara come to volunteer. Some of the people I've met over the years would come in from Barrie and Peterborough to volunteer for events because they get such great enjoyment out of it. They take the experiences back with them, but they know deep down it's important to do what they do. They're not always necessarily a sport fan, but they're community builders, and they understand how important it is to the community. So I think this region is a great example of people that get it and understand that they get something back. I'm not talking about a t-shirt or a hat, but there's things you take away from sport that only sport can deliver emotionally and connection-wise. So I think that it becomes invaluable, and people get it here. There's no question about it. They do in other areas too, but this is a very fertile area of those that are interested in stepping up and stepping forward to help out because they know the result and what it does for the community.
A lot of us have had experiences in our life where someone gave us their time. They gave us their talent, their energy, and that allowed us to become who we are. And so many of us want to have that opportunity to give back in the same way that others gave to us. Volunteering is that chance to give back, whether it's helping out young people in the community that are, experiencing the world for the first time, or it's working with folks who are disadvantaged, who maybe have had a tougher lot in life. it gives us that opportunity to give back in the way others have given to us, and I think that's where that sense of pride comes from, right? Not just to show off what's amazing about our community, but to also demonstrate how important it is to be a good community member.
So to all the volunteers supporting the World Rowing event, I know you're creating an incredible experience for our athletes and guests from around the world. You are making a difference, and we are thankful for your time and dedication.
The Walker team is so very proud to be the official sponsor of the volunteers at the World Rowing Championships. We're very grateful to be a part of the Niagara community and really to all the volunteers supporting this event and creating an incredible experience for our athletes and the guests from around the world. Just thank you so much for offering a warm welcome from Niagara.
Definitely hard going into it, knowing that people might not have faith in you, might not think that you can do it. I've really had to work to overcome that misconception, those stereotypes. I've had a lot of coaches who kind of said to me, like, we can't really take you on as an athlete because of your impairment. You can't do the same things as your teammates. It's holding the team back. I've been called a liability. Because I really want to advocate that I am capable of doing this. My friends who have impairments are capable of doing this. It doesn't mean that we just have to be recreational athletes. We can compete at a varsity level. We can be competitive and win races.
With sweeping, you have to be a lot more, like, put a lot more emphasis on things than you would sculling. If you're at a U23 senior level, you can start being a little bit more strategic in how you place the blade. And I can say that with trusting that you're not going to pull like a U19, U17 and just... The steering is primarily like a timing and like a tech problem. We'll figure it out.
I'm Mia Biancanello. I'm from St Catharines, Ontario. I've been rowing for about 6 years now. I row for Brock's team and I row for the St Catharines Rowing Club. I was born with a genetic condition called oculocutaneous albinism. It affects the pigment and the melanin in your skin, which plays a big role in the development of your eyes. And so because I have that kind of delay in pigment, my eyes did not develop correctly, and hence I am visually impaired. So my vision has affected me my whole life. I have depth perception issues. I have very big fatigue. I had a hard time seeing the ball when I was playing soccer, following along in a dance class. And so I was kind of looking for something new to keep me active, and one of my neighbors was very into rowing at the time, so I did like a learn to row camp and I just loved it. So when I transitioned from elementary school to high school, I signed up for my high school's rowing team, and I just have been going ever since. I've enjoyed it so much. This team has been really good. I've had really good experiences with my coach, Liz Anese. Probably the reason why I've stayed in the sport is because I've had her support for so long from a coaching perspective. She's always been willing to put me in a successful spot, push me to my limit, just like she would any of her other athletes. When I started rowing, I looked for athletes who were like me, who had similar impairments, because they don't advertise that the same way they advertise other athletes that most people look up to in their sport. One of the first ones that I really did look up to was Victoria Nolan. So she's another visually impaired athlete. I've always looked up to her from like a bystander point because of how she's persevered in the sport and pushed herself even through vision loss. I was able to see a lot of the things I've gone through her, and that was really nice. And she's just a great person. When I've talked to her, she's so kind and so willing to give support.
What I love about rowing is that in my everyday life, I walk around very careful and nervous. Everything I do is slow because I'm afraid of getting hurt. When I get in the boat, all of a sudden I have that freedom. I don't have to worry about where I'm going. There's someone else steering the boat. I can go as fast as I possibly can, and it's just so exhilarating. You feel like you're flying. One of my fondest memories was rowing here in St Catharines at the Royal Henley Regatta. It was Canada versus the US, and my husband actually brought a whole school bus of people down from Toronto to come and watch the race. So the stands, it was packed. All of my friends and family were there. As we were racing, you could hear the whole crowd. It was just a great race. Ended up coming down to a photo finish. We had to sit there and wait for the results. The US beat us by like 1/100th of a second, so it was a pretty amazing experience. Regardless of what you're racing for, it's about your own efforts and your own goals outside of, what the external result might be. You can't have your goal being something that you have no control over, because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. When you're setting a goal, part of it has to be something you're in control of. So whether it's making sure that you push yourself as far as you possibly can, whether it's, really working on nailing those technical aspects of the race, whatever it is that at the end of the day, you can say you did it, so that you can feel proud no matter what the result is.
From an athletic standpoint, I'm trying to prepare myself for my university season, hoping to be the fittest I can be for our training camp and selection process. From an advocacy standpoint, I'm trying to just implement more para races where I can. I'm trying to advocate for para athletes to be included. So for me right now, my goal is our Ontario University Championships. I'm trying to make sure that we have an event for para athletes, that our race is set up and accommodating. I'm also trying to get that at our national championship, have that population show up and show that we can be competitive and we can do something hard like this.
Adulthood is full of surprises, maybe too full of surprises. That's why CAA Niagara has reliable insurance plans. Be ready for the unexpected expenses with home, auto, life, travel, and pet insurance plans. Plus, CAA members get exclusive pricing on all of our plans. Because adulting is hard, but CAA Niagara makes it easy. Click today for your free online quote.
At Genesis Niagara, the most important feature in every Genesis is you. Designed with the simple idea that the experience of owning your Genesis should be as exceptional as the vehicle itself. It's about valuing your time, respecting your lifestyle, and making things effortless, and building a relationship based on trust. Genesis Niagara serving Hamilton, Niagara, where you are at the center of everything we do.
Team Canada and Pilotary Estates Winery unite with a perfect pairing of tradition and excellence. Deeply rooted in pride, respect, and the pursuit of greatness. Celebrate the Olympic spirit with every toast.
So I started Ridley back then. The earliest you could start was grade 5. So that was in 1987. So I started in grade 5 and continued through. I started rowing. A friend of mine in grade 7 wanted to do the rowing camp. And then in grade 9, when you could start rowing at Ridley as a sport, one of my friends told me that we needed some more girls on the rowing team. So I came out and started then. Back then, we didn't row in the fall. We started with indoor training. So it was a lot of rowing ergometers, strength training. I remembered it was really, really hard. But then when we got on the water in the spring for the racing season, it all kind of came together. So I rowed throughout high school and I loved it. And that was part of my decision making for university. I wanted to continue in university. So I went to Western and continued rowing throughout my university degree, and I loved it. And that's where I also started coaching. So I started coaching for a local high school there that some girls were looking for a coach. So a bunch of my teammates, we decided that we would coach a high school team there. You learn a lot. It was kind of trial by doing. So it was great. The student athletes that we were coaching were great, and we had really supportive coaches of our own who helped us when we needed help. But it's how I learned, how to rig boats, drive a trailer, everything from putting in entries to regattas. And the team was very new too, so we were teaching them basically from scratch. And although I really enjoyed it, I kind of wanted to come back. And at the time, Ridley was also looking for a women's coach and had asked actually a couple of times if I was interested, but I had other coaching positions. So when the timing was right, they were looking for a coach and I was interested. So 11 years ago. There were a few big changes. Number one, it became like a full year sport. When I was a student here at rowing, we didn't do fall rowing. It was indoor training, winter training, and then the spring season only. When I started coaching here, it was a full year. So we did fall regattas, fall training, so it was year round. The other thing was when I rowed here, there were a lot of women rowing, girls rowing at the time. And when I came into this position, the numbers had reduced quite significantly. So one of the things that we've been really working on is trying to increase those numbers again. It's been going really, really well. Last year, I think we were just under 30, which is, for kind of our size of school, a good size program.
The Women's Championship 8. The Brock University 25th Anniversary Trophy Final. In lane number 3 is Ridley College. Ridley College in the lead as of right now, pulling ahead in lane number 3. Sabrina Seville de Coxey for the 8-person crew. Novella Russman, Rachel Turks, Jay Postma, Sydney Swift, Charlotte Peakenhagen, Heather Clark, Tia Lampman, and Chloe Fortman. The gap getting bigger and bigger here for the final push. Ridley College in lane number 3, holding on, and will win the Brock University 25th Anniversary Trophy as the champions of the Women's Eights.
I think we are intentional in trying to support all of the programs. So the men's coach and I work really well together. Like, for example, this summer we're team coaching at Team Canada boat. They were looking for a place to host the girls' sweep project, as they called it. And so together with some other school coaches, we put our hand up to say we would host it here at Ridley and in St Catharines. We didn't plan on doing it this way. It was not really, we kind of thought our athletes would go through selection and then move on to, you know, be with their team and coach somewhere else, but it didn't work out that way. So it's been a really positive, you know, we kind of realized that, oh, wait a second, this is actually a great place to host it. We've got the Henley course, which is going to be hosting the Worlds. We have all the facilities here that we need. It's been really collaborative with the other school coaches in terms of, you know, building a program and bringing in the athletes. It's been great.
When you're purchasing swimwear from the Salty Bikini, you're getting beauty, confidence, and the latest in swimwear fashion. Every woman deserves to feel like a goddess in her swimsuit. Say goodbye to stress and hello to confidence as you shop with us. The Salty Bikini is proud to be a platinum sponsor of the 2024 World Rowing Championships. Good luck to all the competitors. Come see us in-store at the Salty Bikini. We're located in the Ridley Heights Plaza in St Catharines, Ontario, or visit us online at thesaltybikini.ca.
Welcome to White Meadows Farms. Join our Discover Maple Sugar Bush tour and explore the world of maple syrup. Meet our expert guide and discover traditions that have thrived for centuries. Hop aboard a tractor-drawn wagon and journey to the heart of our forest. Indulge in legendary treats like taffy on snow and experience our 100% pure maple syrup. Finish with a maple syrup tasting and see how we elevate maple beyond the breakfast table. Book your experience today and discover everything Canadian maple.
The universe does it with a big bang. Wonderful pistachios. Get cracking.
Niagara College Bob.
Good morning and welcome back to the 2024 World Rowing Championships here in St Catharines, Canada. We have a very exciting day for everyone today. It's the first day of the finals. We'll then move over to some U19 junior events. My name is Micah Newitz. I'm here with Yana. Yana, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's a little early, but definitely not as early as these rowers had to get up this morning to start practicing on the course and getting ready for their race.
Yeah, they would have been up on the water already. You can see that in the background. It's going to be a good sunny day here. Currently 17 degrees outside. The winds we're going to see about 20 kilometers an hour gusts of wind moving in the southeast direction, so the water should be calm for most of the day. We're going to see a lot of technical riders, rowers. Again, on the screen you see the just the events we're going to go through in the morning session before a quick training break. There you see the competitors lining up on the start. Getting into their respective lanes for the first race. Again, that will be the U23 men's single sculls. So as we see the boat diagram there, 2 oars for the one person in the boat. We see Japan had the fastest qualifying time for this final. Just over a minute above the world's best time, but of course the conditions on the water weren't meant for moving at too fast of a pace yesterday. In lane 1 you have Hong Kong, China. Lane number 2, Canada. Lane 3, Japan. Lane 4, Latvia. And lane 5, Zambia. We have seen a couple world's best time here this week. On Sunday, the conditions were extremely fast on the water. Niels Tour of Italy had the men's lightweight world's best time on Sunday. We also had 2 World Championships best time also on Sunday. The conditions have definitely slowed down following that day. On Monday, of course, we had to cancel, and then the schedule got condensed into the Tuesday and Wednesday to make up for that cancellation day. And now, Yana, you know what it's like to be out on the water, especially on this course. How do you think the athletes are feeling here as they get ready to get going?
I feel like there's definitely a lot of nerves, especially with something as high stakes as this regatta. When you're in these starting gates, sitting, waiting for the go, you just, I don't know, there's a huge wave of emotions. You just want to prepare yourself for this 2,000 meter race. It's a long race. You're going over your race plan in your head because every rower will have a plan of what they want to do, when they want to do pieces, how fast they want to be going. Each rower will have a stroke coach. You can see right there at the bottom, that little orange thing is the speed coach or stroke coach, and it'll tell you your strokes per minute and how far you've gone, how much further you have to go. It's actually really helpful during a race. It keeps you motivated, gives you an end goal to look forward to. But yeah, definitely just a lot of nerves, but also it's very exciting.
Yeah, we heard the officials in the broadcast in the background there. Just we're talking about
2 minutes.
2 minutes. You see, so they're sitting here. They're just waiting. The anxiety is building up in the athletes. The excitement, all lined up at the start line, being held there by our volunteers here in St. Catharines, Canada. This is only the second time these athletes would have been able to be on this water, specifically if you're coming from internationally. The last time was in 1999. The World Championships were held here in St. Catharines. And now, 25 years later, another chance to race here. Now, Yana, we know the fastest time was the Japanese rower. What does that mean while you're on the course? Where are they located and why?
Typically, whoever finishes fastest in the heats will be in one of the middle lanes, usually 4 or 5. Just because it's, I don't know, it's the best lane for wind and weather. It's normally the calmest lane, so they give you the advantage if you finish fastest in your heats. But that doesn't count anyone out. It doesn't matter. If you're in a side lane, you can still win the race, 100%.
Might change your strategy up just a little bit, pretending being on closer to the trees you see in the back behind the athletes. Patrick Strads getting off to a little bit of a slow start there. Couldn't get his boat moving as fast as the other athletes. The stroke right now, the highest at 42 with from Japan and Canada.
At the start of a race, you really want to settle into your race pace very fast. Typically, oh no, he caught a crab, but successfully made it back and is going to start rowing again. But during a start, you do a piece, which is typically 5 to 10 strokes, and then you want to settle into your race pace because you do not want to burn out. It is a long race, especially when it's just you in the boat. It's you taking yourself all the way down. You don't have a team to rely on to keep pushing you, so you want to settle in fast.
Yeah, you see the Zambian rider there caught a crab earlier in the race, getting back to his rhythm. 40 meters behind the leader, who is currently the Japanese rider in lane 3. The Canadian very close behind him, currently in second place. Again, this is the D finals. So still a lot to compete for. You get that experience of racing, against international competition, which isn't extremely common, especially for these younger athletes, being U23. They haven't officially been maybe done school, or they're still in club. They haven't fully devoted their entire time to the sport.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing opportunity for these people, these rowers, to get to compete in this. And Henley is such a beautiful course. We have a very nice, large course here. And especially on the island too, these rowers have so much here with the Neil Campbell Rowing Center, and just there's so much space, and they all get to interact and meet new people. It's very cool.
Yeah, you talked about the island there. From about 1,000 meters to the 1,500 meter mark, there's a island to the right of these rowers where their fellow competitors, athletes, and coaches will be able to cheer them on, watch the races from there. And then as you get, of course, around 200 meters to the end of the race, we have that double grandstand on either side of the water. That's where the fans will be cheering on their athletes from their nations to get back to the finish line as quickly as possible. The Canadian, Keithan Woodhouse, opening up a small lead over the Japanese rower. I was talking with him earlier. His strategy is usually to get out in front of everyone, because he knows he has enough in the tank to give it that sprint and continue to just pass the other rowers, and usually likes to finish in those photo finishes. Unfortunately, he hasn't had the best of luck when it came to his heat and repechage, but he's looking very good right now. He's kind of found his rhythm and understands what it takes to win at this level.
Yeah, what you were saying about photo finishes, Canada, Keithan Woodhouse, he raced in Henley and definitely also had a photo finish in a single. So he has rowed on this course before. He does also coach Learn to Rows and junior rowers at a local club. I used to row with him, so it is super cool to see him on this course racing in this amazing opportunity in regatta.
He has now opened up about a 13-meter lead over the Japanese rower, Taisei Maguchi. In third place is the Latvian, Patrick Strads. He's come back after that slower start, maybe a slower acceleration, but definitely has found his stride. Now right next to the Japanese rower. At this point, you have to think maybe the rower from Japan gave it all he had at the beginning and is slowly just losing his edge. It's the Latvian just 2 meters behind.
Now that these rowers are in the last 500 meters, you'll see the buoys will start to turn red, which indicates they're in the last 250 meters, and the rowers know they have to start their finish piece and give it everything they have and finish this race.
Yeah, we talked about Keithan Woodhouse having stuff left in the tank. Now's the time to prove it, as he has a 15-meter difference. May not have to give it all he has, but this is the last race of the week for him, so it doesn't count how much energy you have left over after the race is done. If you don't finish first right now, .100 meters left to go. Taisei Maguchi in a comfortable second place over the Latvian rider, just fell away. Latvian rider Patrick Strads, 34 meters behind Ethan Woodhouse, who is in first place as they reach the finish line. Didn't need a photo finish to win this one. And I'm sure he's very proud with himself. He wanted to race this the whole week and finally got it at the end. Congrats to Canada for winning the D final. Japan second place, and then Latvia finishing third there. The official times, 7 minutes 18 seconds for Canada, 7 minutes and 19 seconds for Japan, and then 7 minutes and 27 seconds for Latvia, where Zambia finishing in fourth place, 7 minutes and 36 seconds, and Hong Kong, China, rounding out the first of the D finals, 7 minutes and 39 seconds. The Canadian giving his thumbs up to the crowd, his coaches, his competitors for an amazing first race of the day. Lots to look forward to moving forward, of course. Again, if you're new to rowing, there's usually an A, B, C, and D finals for all competitors to always get that extra race and that extra experience. As we move on to the next U23 men's pair final, the D final that is. 2 boats in this race, the People's Republic of China in lane 1 and Hong Kong, China in lane 2. It is currently Hong Kong in the lead by about 40 meters or so as we see the replay of the start. Hong Kong really got out to a hot start and has a dominant lead right now over the People's Republic of China.
Definitely a very difficult boat to race. You have to be very in time with your teammate and very in sync. That's to not flip. You have to stay very balanced. And you don't have a coxswain or anything in your boat steering, so the bow, which is the person in the back, has to take care of steering and look behind them and give call-outs because they can only control the one side. They have to tell their teammate in stroke to control the other side or go harder on port or starboard in order to stay straight in their lane and have the fastest time.
Yeah, you see that 1,500 meter mark there in the background of that shot. I was watching the training sessions yesterday in the afternoon, and I saw about 3 teams had to stop their boat a little short because they were about to row right into one of those things. So it's a good thing for the bow rider to keep an eye on everything, make sure they're staying in the same lane, and not accidentally gonna hit anything as they get into the last 250 meters of this race. Hong Kong 90 meters in front of the People's Republic of China. A really dominant performance here for the second race of day 5 of the 2024 World Rowing Championships.
Yeah, back on keeping your course. It is not only to not crash into a pylon or another boat, you don't want to be, even if you're staying in your lane, you don't want to be zigzagging back and forth in your lane, because that takes time and adds extra seconds onto your final time. So you want to stay as straight as possible, the most direct route to the finish line.
And as we get to the finish line here, Hong Kong, China will take first place in the D final. And then the People's Republic of China, being the only other boat in the race, will take second place here in the D final. In the U23 men's pair, the official times, Hong Kong, China, 7 minutes, 3.76 seconds. And then the People's Republic of China, 7 minutes, 29.02 seconds, 25 seconds behind the leader. The next race for the third one of today, we have the C final for the U23 men's double sculls. So again, 2 rowers in the boat, this time holding 2 oars per person. As you see, the United States get off to a hot start. Now 25 meters behind Hungary, who is in lane 2. There you see, we say 25 meters, but it really isn't that much when it comes to rowing. We've seen plenty of sprints finish and comebacks from 20, 30 meters back, so it really doesn't matter how far you get back as long as you're the one finishing the race first.
Can really never count a boat out. I've seen lots of races where the underdog, someone you'd never think would be able to pull through and win, they just have that extra energy that they were conserving, and they pull through and they up the rate and up the power, and they get ahead and end up winning the race.
The Americans here, James and John Patton, brothers, about 3 years difference between the two of them. This is John's first time sculling. Their dad was actually an Olympic bronze medalist in 1988. So definitely a great role model to have growing up and now competing in the same sport as your dad did. You just see the faces of the Hungarian athletes. It is such a grueling sport, both power and technique, physical and mental battle for the full 2,000 meters. Speeds are very similar now. The Americans trying to catch up as their distance was at 30 meters, about at the 1,500 meter mark. Really pushing themselves, getting ready for a big sprint as they reach 200 meters left to go in the C final. Of course, there's an uneven amount of boats. Usually there's around 6 in each race. course, when you get to these C and D finals, they like to fill up the top spots, so sometimes you get this smaller amount of boats racing. Hungary first place by about a boat length in front of the Americans. The official time being 6 minutes and 42 seconds. And then the Americans there, just over 3 seconds difference at 6 minutes and 45 seconds, finishing that race. The U23 men's doubles sculls C final. What's that feeling, Jana, about when you finish that race? You know you're out of breath, but what's that joy knowing you won that race?
It's unexplainable. It is such a high. Racing is so fun, and I definitely miss it the most now that I'm not rowing anymore. Everything you've worked for, everything you've trained for, it all makes it worth it once you finish that race. And when you come first, especially in a regatta like this, something so large and prestigious, it is just, it makes everything worth it. All the pain and the physical pain and the mental pain, because like you said, it is also a big mental game. With races like this, you have to motivate yourself and keep pushing yourself to finish.
This next race here, the U23 men's 4C final. In lane 1, the People's Republic of China. Lane 2, the USA. And lane 3, Ireland. USA currently out in the lead. 18 meters difference between themselves and Ireland. China a little farther behind. Again, we see that smaller boat. Less boats in this C final.
You can see USA's boat is bucket rigged, which, normally you don't see that. I feel it is personal preference. It depends on where you want to sit the rowers in the boat. Typically, the athletes that sit in the middle of the boat are the powerhouse of the boat. Not saying that everyone is in a powerhouse, but normally your strongest rowers sit in the middle, and then your person that can keep a good rate and stay consistent sits in front in stroke seat, and the bow is the person that can make call outs and is trusted to look behind them but still set up the boat.
As we get into the last 400 meters, USA still in lead, 20 meters difference between themselves and Ireland. Ireland could be a potential winner here as their speed is dropping a little slower than I would have thought. I would expect them to be building for a big sprint here as we get towards the end. The stroke rates are the same, but again, it's about how much in unison you are with your team. If you can catch all at the same time, and that'll bring your speed up as well without having to put too much power or energy into more strokes.
Yeah, a hard thing really is when you're speeding up at the finish and getting into that piece, sometimes boats become sloppy and you start to fall out of time, and in turn that affects your time and you become slower, not faster.
You can hear the American fans cheering on their athletes as they look to take first place in the C finals of the men's U23 4. There you have it. USA first, Ireland crossing the line, and then China soon to cross the finish line. Official times for the United States. The winners 6:14.90. Ireland 5 seconds behind them, 6 minutes 20 seconds. And then on the top right, China just crossing the finish line there, 23 seconds back of the USA. Again, a lot easier to travel when you're connected to the country that's hosting the World Championships. I'm sure there's plenty of Americans here cheering on their rowers, same as Canada. The next C final, U23 men's quadruple sculls. So again, 4 people in the boat like last race, except this time holding 2 oars instead of 1. In lane 1, People's Republic of China, lane 2, Bulgaria, and lane 3, closest to the camera, Chinese Taipei. You see Bulgaria there, a hot start through 500 meters, opening themselves up to about a boat length in between themselves and China, and then Chinese Taipei 70 meters behind the Bulgarians, halfway through this race here on Thursday morning in St Catharines, Canada.
If you listen closely, you can really hear how in time these athletes are. You can hear the oars every time they feather and square in the oar locks. You want to only hear one singular noise, because that means everyone is in time and everyone is feathering and squaring at the exact same time. And it's very satisfying to listen to.
To touch on the Royal Canadian Henley, which is the water we are currently on, the Martindale Pond. It is a lot more open than you see other courses. You see, even if you watch the Olympics just a few weeks ago, it's a lot smaller water. The width isn't as big here. And then especially right after this 1,500 meter mark, the water opens up drastically. The Henley Island stops, and then there's also the bridge to the left of these rowers. So you have to be careful for crosswinds and potential, just conditions that you hadn't expected in the earlier stages of the race. Bulgaria still out in the lead, 30 meters now in front of China. Chinese Taipei well behind, as you saw there. China still being able to put up a big sprint here, could make it close. We're gonna have to wait and see as we get towards the end. About 150 meters left to go. Now is the time to give yourself enough room to pass the Bulgarians. Seems like Bulgaria doesn't want to lose another race here, taking it into their own hands. Powerful as they finish this C final. They will be your first place winners here. Then China. Chinese Taipei, about 100 meters back now, finishing strong. 39 stroke rate currently. The official times, 6 minutes 5 seconds for Bulgaria, 6 minutes 11 seconds for the People's Republic of China. As you see, Chinese Taipei finishing the race now. The time of 6 minutes and 34 seconds. There's your C final, Bulgaria, China, Chinese Taipei. First, second, and third. Finishing off this week strong from them. Moving on to the next, we have the C finals for the U23 men's single sculls. So we already saw one of these races this morning, and it was won by the Canadian. In the C final, we have Chinese Taipei in lane number 1, closest to the trees. Argentina in lane 2, Brazil lane 3, Lithuania in lane 4, Mexico in 5, and Uruguay in 6, closest to the camera. The Lithuanian in lane 4 had the fastest time to qualify at 7 minutes and 42 seconds. That was yesterday morning. Had a full day to recover, and now racing again. We see it is the Brazilian who had the third best time, excuse me, the second best time. In first place. Then Mexico, Uruguay, and Argentina, and Lithuania are all in the race still. Again, the top 5 are all within 10 meters of each other. Not a lot of room in between these rowers.
Definitely a close race here. Anyone could win.
And that's what you come to see. Tight races, unless of course you prefer your nation winning over everything. But the excitement, the anxiousness, knowing it is finals day here Thursday morning, the 2024 World Rowing Championships in St. Catharines. You hear the coaches supporting their athletes as best as they can. Brazil still hanging on to an 8-meter lead over the Mexican. Top 5 here, 20 meters difference. Finding your rhythm. Putting yourselves in the best position you can to make your sprint at the end to come out on top here at the C final. It's Breno Felix from Brazil still in the lead as we enter the last quarter of the race. He's opened up a bigger lead. He's finishing strong. Luciano Garcia from Uruguay putting themselves in a great spot to finish strong here. It's going to be who has left enough to finish this race. The most power while keeping the best technique as well. Speeds all similar. Going into the last 250 meters. This is where the support of the fans come in handy. as we have the double grandstand on either side of the water. Let as many fans to watch as you can. Support their nations and their athletes.
The cheering from the grandstand definitely does help a lot in the finish. It motivates you to keep going and go as fast as you can. You don't even feel the pain at that point. It's just all adrenaline in those last 250 meters. You know you're so close and you just give it your all, and the fans cheering really, really, really helps with that.
As you see on the screen, Breno Felix from Brazil takes the win. Official time, 7 minutes and 8 seconds. Second place crossing the line was from Uruguay, 7 minutes, 10 seconds. Then the Argentinian, Santiago DeAndre, 7 minutes and 12 seconds. All about 2 seconds difference between first, second, third, and fourth, which went to the Lithuanian. And then who was leading the race for the first half, the Mexican comes in fifth, and then Chinese Taipei there finishing 24 seconds behind Breno Felix of Brazil. A technical race by all. Again, you're all by yourself in that solo scull. You have no one else to rely on except for yourself. Now we move on to the women's U23 single scull C final. 3 boats in this race. Lane 1, New Zealand. Lane 2, Latvia. Currently in the lead is Latvia in the center lane. And then Molly Nicole from New Zealand in second. Ariana Townsend about 50 meters back of the leader in the center lane as we cross the halfway marker in the water. 4 minutes across the first halfway mark. If they finished the second half as fast as they did the first half, at least for the Latvian athlete Lane Rump, she'd finish about 1 minute and 30 seconds faster than she did in the repechage. So I'm sure she would be ecstatic to finish with that pace. New Zealand, though, closing the gap, increasing the stroke rate. And it's not all about stroke rate, but sometimes when you have a clean technique, you still have that meters per stroke keeping you going as long as you have that rhythm and technique. Now nothing between the two athletes, New Zealand, Latvia, right next to each other. El Salvador about 60 meters back here. She finished her repechage at a time of 9 minutes and 44 seconds. That was yesterday in the early afternoon, about 2 p.m. Molly Nicole now from New Zealand with a 9-meter lead opened up on the Latvian. We have the last quarter. impressive stroke rate as you finish off the last 350 meters from the New Zealand rower, Molly Nicole. Blazing speed. Usually you see that stroke rate increase to around 39 strokes per minute as they finish off their final sprints. Latvian just falling a little far behind now, gave it all she got, but possibly won't just have enough to finish strong, is what she hoped for.
She might have started too early on her finish piece there and got a little burnt out, which is sometimes what happens. You think you might have more energy than you do, and then you give it your all and then realize you're kind of dead now.
Yeah, you have the strategies before the race, but sometimes when you feel it's that last race, you're in the C final, you have to give it all you got, so you think you have just a little bit more than you do. Ultimately coming up a little short. It's Molly Nicole from New Zealand winning the C final, followed fairly closely by the Latvian Lane Rump, with El Salvador coming in third place. Now we're about 70 meters from the finish line. So we can tell the water is definitely faster than it was yesterday. The finishing time was 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Molly Nicole in her repechage had a time of over 9 minutes.
There quite possibly is a tailwind down the course, which makes you move a little faster. Maybe the conditions are better today. I wasn't here yesterday, but
the wind was definitely blowing. It was definitely a headwind yesterday, so a lot more energy, a lot more power had to be exerted to finish these races. But today it's looking like we might see a little bit of a faster time, which is always fun for the crowd. Get close finishes, fast times. Back to the men's side of things. We're looking at the pair, men's pair U23, the C final. In lane 1, Japan. Lane 2, Poland. Lane 3, Bulgaria. 4 is Chile. In lane 5, Paraguay. Bulgaria is in the lead currently, only a 10-meter difference between themselves. Second place, which is the Polish rowers, Thomas Lewicki and Simon Tomiak. Again, so the pair, so 1 oar per athlete. The rower in the back, in the bow seat, in charge of keeping an eye on their opponents, keeping them straight, and communicating that to the stroke seat in the front. So maybe you can change your strategy up just a little bit if need be. Bulgaria currently sitting in first with a stroke rate of 35. Poland's 41 is extremely high for being 250 meters out. Let's see if they can keep that up, or if it's just a little bit too soon and they gas out, fall just short. Only time will tell. Bulgaria and Poland going back and forth now within 200 meters of the finish line. Chile and Japan fighting for that third place position, about 30 meters behind the leaders. Coming across the finish line now. It's neck and neck between boats. It looks like Bulgaria may just have it, may just edge out the Polish. As you see there, Bulgaria takes the win. Poland not far behind them. Third place is a toss-up between Chile and Japan. It looked like it went to Chile, but we have to wait for the official times. Bulgaria 6:46, Poland 6:48, and yes, Chile 6:52 to edge out the Japanese by about a second. The Paraguay finishing off the C final in 5th place. It's a great strategy from Poland. Unfortunately, just maybe went a little too soon like we saw before with the Latvian rower in the women's singles. But again, you know better than anyone. You just have to give it all you have, especially the last race of the week for yourself. You can't have any regrets knowing you have something left in the tank at the end.
Yeah, nothing left. Just because, like you said, if it's your last race of the week, there's no reason to not give it your everything. Try your absolute hardest.
Now, same discipline on the women's side. This is the B final. South Africa, lane 1, Chile, lane 2, Brazil, 3, and the People's Republic of China in lane 4. A really close race right now. Just finishing the first 500 meters, excuse me. And all boats are within 5 meters of each other. All right next to each other. Now, Yana, is there any different feeling when you know that the boats are this close as you see there, all passing almost at the exact same time? Does your strategy change a little if you know that?
Yes, I think so, 100%. During race, we saw a fish jump out there.
Just want to be on the broadcast.
During a race, typically, I mean, when I raced, we really focused on if there's someone in front, closing that gap, or if there's someone beside us, is making that gap bigger. Pulling away from them is kind of the biggest goal, and what you really got to focus on is making that gap, pulling away. It definitely motivates you to keep going. When your competitors are right beside you, you don't want to fall behind, so you keep on pace with them and you try and go faster, just to get ahead and get that. I don't know how to explain it. It's not complicated, but it is.
It's hard to say in words, I guess, yeah. But we probably will see one of the fastest times potentially here, because all of them are so close, having to push themselves so much to get just that edge on their competitors here in this race as we cross the 900-meter mark. Still less than 10 meters between the 4 boats. If this keeps up, it will be the closest finish between a full race that we have seen all week.
It is quite crazy that they are at the 1,000-meter mark and all still very in line. It's crazy to see. Most of the time there's usually a boat that maybe pulls ahead a bit or one that falls behind a little bit, but these women are very on par with each other, and there's a tough race.
Definitely being spoiled here this morning with the finals. The fans love it here in St. Catharines. Can only imagine you enjoyed watching it at home as well. Brazil in the lead over China, 3 meters difference there. Chile 7 meters behind Brazil, and then 8 meters South Africa behind the leaders. You can tell it's close when you hear the coaches involved here.
typically these girls, or any athlete, when they get to the 1,000-meter mark, you usually do a piece to try and get ahead, get that distance, so that you can be ahead in the finish in the last 500 meters. So I don't know what these athletes' race plan is, but normally when I rode, we did a bridge to bridge, which was 30 strokes. We did 10 for technique, 10 for power, and then 10 for the girls in the boat. We'd take a stroke for everyone in the boat. Usually a coxswain would call this out, or the bow rider. And it really helps you remember who you're racing for and what you're racing for, and helps that mental aspect, because that is a big thing in these races. Just being so long and hard, and you're giving it your all, and you really have to stay focused. But yeah, these girls are coming up on the last 500 meters.
China now has taken the lead slightly over Brazil. Chile still in that third place position. South Africa falling a little bit behind now. 15-meter gap between themselves and China in lane 4. But this is going to be one of the closest top 3 finishes today. We have 10 meters difference between the top 3. China, Brazil going back and forth now. And like you said, China putting a piece together within that 1,000 meter, closing the gap between themselves and Brazil, and now in the lead. Brazil's going to have to respond here within the next 250 meters. You see the red buoys on the screen. That is a visual representation to the racers that they're 250 meters behind, or until the finish line. And then, of course, you don't need a visual representation to hear the crowd. That'll start any second now for these rowers, giving their last boost, getting them to that finish line as fast as possible.
You can hear everyone start to cheer now. These rowers will start their finish piece that they planned beforehand.
So Brazil still in the lead. China just falling behind now. Brazil responds extremely well. You see 1, 2, and 3. Second place is going to be really close here, but Brazil takes the win. 7 minutes, 31 seconds. Second place between China and Chile. It does go to China with a difference of about 0.3 seconds between second and third place. South Africa finishes off the B final in 4th. We really got to witness a great race by them. You can see their strategies come into play and when to put the pieces together and push at those certain moments, and Brazil had one of the best strategies as they came away with the victory in the B final. Moving to the next race is another B final, the men's pair of the U23 division. 6 boats in this race. Norway in lane 1, Spain in 2, Greece 3, Great Britain in 4. The host country, Canada, is in lane 5, and then in lane 6, France. Now catching up with them around the 1,200 meter mark. Great Britain is in the lead, about 20 meters in front of second place, which happens to be Greece and Spain, who are both right beside each other. Behind them is the French, then the Canadian and the Norwegians, all kind of close to each other around that 50 meters mark behind Great Britain. British, such a strong rowing nation. In the Olympics just a few weeks ago, they tied for first for medal count in these events, had 8 medals over the course of the Olympics in rowing, pushing out a great time over 1,500 meters. Spain following them closely. And then it is the Greek next to them, keeping themselves in a position to put a sprint together. As you see the stroke rates between the boats. Again, these athletes know exactly what strategies they want to run. They know what their stroke rate should be going through these different checkpoints that they have in their head. They would know the speed they're pushing out. Greece now increasing their stroke rates, putting a last sprint together to move up in the standings in this B final.
In grade 9, I was grade 9, but I raced in a senior boat, and it was quite nerve-wracking racing against these grade 12s and 12Bs when I was just this little grade 9 in CSSRA, which is also on this course. It's the Canadian Secondary School Rowing Championships. There's a lot of regattas actually held on this course, which is really cool. But those vet rowers who had been doing it for competitively longer than I have had, they really helped me feel welcomed and helped me feel like I belonged in the boat. And it actually wasn't so scary, and we ended up winning gold in that race, which was really awesome and such a cool opportunity for me in grade 9. COVID did kind of ruin some good rowing years for me, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know how to explain it.
As we enter the 200 meters left to go, Czechia still in the lead. Only a 10-meter difference now between the U.S. and the leaders, Czechia. As we finish off this sprint, I know that veteran presence, taking silver last year from the Czechian boat, is going to come into play. USA 7 meters now behind. You see the flags in the background. Lots of people out in St. Catharines this morning. Czechia take home first place in this B final, followed closely by the Americans, and then China third here in the B final. Again, we talk about how the weather conditions and the water conditions make such an impact on what your strategy will be. Different things like that.
The course is pretty flat right now, so they don't have to worry about the wind and keeping their blades low to the water. They can focus on high tap downs and getting the best strokes they can, the most water in each stroke to propel them as fast as possible.
We see Czechia's time being 6 minutes and 43 seconds in the repechage. They were at 7 minutes and 11 seconds, so you can definitely see how these rowers have gotten used to these conditions, and the water is definitely in a more optimal condition for racing. We move on to the junior races in about 7 minutes or so. So we will take a quick break, be back with you then. But again, U19 junior division. We'll start with the women's 4s with a coxie. Until then, this is Micah Newitz and Diana at the 2024 World Rowing Championships in St. Catharines.
Minutes. 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 Italy, deadweight. Thank you. South Africa, deadweight. Thank you. USA, deadweight. Thank you. France, deadweight. Thank you. Canada, third wave. Thank you. Italy, South Africa, USA, France, Australia.
Welcome back to the 2024 World
Canada.
Rowing Championships. Back with the junior division U19 women's coxed for preliminary races. So what that means is each of these boats will compete again in the finals. But right now they are all competing for the lanes they want to race in this weekend. My name is Micah
Junior
Newitz,
men's
and I'm here with...
You want to pack one?
Again, this is the first race we've seen today with a coxie. Yana, can you talk a little bit about what they do for the boat and how they contribute to the team?
So a coxie, they steer the boat. They have these there's a rudder on the bottom, and they have strings or a kind of joystick looking thing that they point in the direction they want to go, and it'll steer the boat. I believe all of these boats here have a bow rider coxie. Normally in high school level you will have a coxie that's sitting right in front of the stroke, obviously still looking forward, so you're looking right at stroke seat. But a coxie also has a cox box, which is connected to speakers in the boat, and they can give call-outs. They can, if they need to steer one way really far, they can tell the crew to go harder on port or harder on starboard. They can give them motivational call-outs, tell them where other boats are. Coxies a lot of the time will let you know that you're coming up on another boat, gives you motivation to go faster, to close that gap, pull ahead. You can hear the coxies right now screaming at their athletes if you listen closely. The coxies will give the race plan. If they have any pieces that they're going to do during the race, they'll let them know, and they'll call out every single stroke, so you know exactly what you're doing, and you really don't have to think about anything but setting up the boat, keeping your power, and staying in time. The coxie does everything else. They're very beneficial in a race.
As for the boats in this race, we have Italy in lane 1, South Africa in lane 2, USA in lane 3. In lane 4, we have France, Australia next to them in 5, and then closest to the camera in lane 6 is the host country, Canada. As of right now, Italy and France neck and neck, going for first and second. Australia slightly behind them to round out the top 3. Margherita Franchi, the coxie in the Italian boat. South Africa, Heather Welchman. USA, Avery Harris-Jones. In the French boat by Roger Juge. Australia, Scarlett Pringle. And then in the Canadian boat, Annika Marino. Italy now with about a 10-meter difference between themselves and France, putting a nice piece together to create some space in between the boats. As we cross the halfway mark. You won't have to hear as much from the coaches on Henley Island as there are the coxies giving the instructions, and we'll know the strategies that the boats want to complete during the 2,000-meter race. Lying down to get the most aerodynamic you can. You don't want to be a hindrance and potentially slow down your boat. Italy doing a great job now. Their stroke rate up to 33 strokes per minute, opening a solid 15-meter gap between themselves in second place. France 15 meters behind Italy, and then both Australia and USA fighting for that third place position, as they're only 1 meter difference apart from each other.
You can see these athletes' technique is so amazing. They're getting all the way up to the catch, the longest stroke they can, the most water they can, tapping down, making sure their blades stay off the water, again, to stay aerodynamic and not add any seconds onto their time, because every second counts in these races. Every stroke.
Continue.
Sorry, every stroke counts. Every push with the legs, every tap down counts towards your time in races like this, because we have seen these photo finishes where it's 0.2 seconds that they get beat by. So yeah, Micah, continue.
I was just gonna say, this is the junior division. All rowers in this division are under the ages of 19, so this is one of their first World Championships that they can attend, an international event. So it is a great experience for them to travel the world and get a real good picture of what it takes to be the best. You can see you can watch all the senior rowers compete at what times, and you can compare that to yourself. And it's really a great experience and opportunity for these rowers to see world-class talent up close and personal. Finishing the last few meters now, Italy with a strong back half, pulling away from the Americans and the French. As they cross the finish line in first place, they will have a center lane moving into the finals. Again, this is the preliminary. So every boat will ride again in the finals. USA second place, France in third. We'll round out your top three. After the French, it was Australia, South Africa, Canada, and then South Africa. Canada was a little farther behind. I lost them on the broadcast, but they did come back to get fifth place. Let's get a different position, moving towards the finals. Your official times there, 7 minutes and 15 seconds from the Italians to get first place, and the lane of, one of the middle lanes, I should say. I was going to say the lanes of their choosing, but unfortunately that's not how it works in rowing. Now moving over to the junior men's coxed for Same discipline, just moving over to the men's side. In lane 1, we'll have Ireland. Lane 2, Australia. Lane 3, Canada. Italy will be in lane 4. South Africa in lane 5. And then the United States of America in lane 6, as you see on your screen. We stagger these races to get them done so we can enjoy all of the races within 1 week and not 2. As of right now, Australia is in the lead with about a 10-meter lead over the Americans and the Italians. Again, we see Italy and America really strong in this category, both in the women's and the men's. Ireland there at the back on the 500-meter mark. Here you see the leaders of the race, the Australians. Currently at a 35 stroke rate, which is one of the lowest in the races right now. USA and Canada have the highest at 39 strokes per minute. But Jana, as you talked about, it's about that efficiency in the water. You may not need to be the most powerful, but it helps to have good technique.
Oh, 100%. Technique is a lot in these races. Staying set up and not wobbling all over the place, catching crabs really helps in having the fastest time. You don't want to be going all over your lane. You don't want to be teeter-tottering in your boat because then, yeah, you could catch a crab, which would be detrimental to a race, which is where the oar kind of catches the water weirdly and just gets pulled under, and there's nothing you can really do but stop and take it out and then start up again, which really impacts the flow and your rhythm and the whole team's rhythm. So you really want to be making sure you're putting the blade in perfectly square, backing the blade in, getting those V splashes as you can see here. These are beautiful strokes by all of these athletes.
We talk about them still being under the age of 19. A lot of these rowers 17 or 18 in this race. And they're still in school. They still have to balance those academics, trying to get into a college or university that you want to compete there. So a lot of things to think about as long as you're training every morning to be the best you can be at the highest level you can. All boats finishing roughly around the same time, with the Irish coming in last on your screen at the top, only a boat length behind 5th place. USA first, Australia second, only a second between those two. In 3rd place was the Italians at an official time of 6 minutes, 29.91 seconds. South Africa, Canada, and Ireland will round out your 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. These rowers all love competing, and they know what it takes, the training, the early mornings. All giving each other the thumbs up, congratulating them on a good race, and they'll see each other again in the finals, as that was the preliminary, so no one was eliminated, and they will all race again for another chance at a medal. Now into the heats, though. Only the 1st and 2nd riders will move on to the final. All remaining crews will have to race again in the repechage. Lane 1, Great Britain. Lane 2, Canada. People's Republic of China in lane 3. Italy in lane 4. And Spain in lane 5, closest to the camera. Looks like Italy is in the lead as we are just about making our way to the halfway mark. the start of Henley Island, where all the athletes will get into the water on their boats. The Canadians having only won one race all week, and that was earlier this morning with Keaton Woodhouse. Looking to win another one here is Lucy Hallett and Sienna Della Siga of Canada, hoping to guarantee themselves a spot in the finals, not having to race in that second chance competition. Touched on these athletes being extremely young. The Canadians, as you see on the screen, have only been rowing now for 2 years, getting a chance to represent their country at a world championship. Unbelievable experience for themselves. As of right now, as they cross the 1,000 meter mark, Spain, Great Britain, Italy in the top 3. Canadians and China there. The bottom 2 positions as we reach the 1,500 meter mark to get another look at the times. There you see the British crossing the 1,500 meter mark first. Annabelle Thornton, Penny Irvine in that British boat. Ages 18 and 17 respectively, coached by Holly Reed. Doing a great job. Italy in the first place position. Again, first and second will move on to the finals. All the other crews will have to race again for their chance to make it. If everything stays as it is right now, it will be the Italians, then the British. But again, as we talked about earlier, Jana, the last 100 meters, 200 meters can really be anyone's race.
100%. Especially if it's close. Like, you really never know if these athletes have more in the tank than you. And they just, some athletes are able to go at a higher rate than others and just have that power and rate and pull ahead to have that photo finish.
Yeah, as we get to that finish line now, extremely close. Looks like the Italians will come across first and then the British. You see them congratulate each other. Those 2 crews will move on to the finals. Everyone else here crossing the line will have to race in the repechage. The official time's coming along the screen now. 7 minutes, 40 seconds for Italy. 7 minutes, 42 seconds for the British. 7 minutes, 50 seconds for Spain. Canada coming across the time, 7 minutes, 52 seconds. And China finishing there, 20 seconds behind the leaders. just over 8 minutes for that race. A great first heat for the junior women's pair. Again, that was heat number 1 of 2. So we got one more heat to go, which we have Hungary in lane 1, Germany in 2, Romania 3, Greece in 4, and an individual neutral athlete in lane 5. Again, the individual neutral athletes will be wearing gray colors, not representing any nation. They're currently tied for first right now with the Romanians. Greece only 5 meters behind them. We talked about these close races as we get towards these back half on the water. It really can be any cruise race. Only 2 spots will move on to the finals, and then we'll have to see who remains. We'll have 2 more in the repechage move on to the final of those who don't guarantee themselves a position there in these 2 races. Romania now putting themselves in a position to be ahead in the last sprint, 6 meters in front of Greece. Speeds are all very similar between the boats. Romanians have found a great stroke rate now at only 32 strokes per minute. Really see how technical rowers they really are. Romania, one of the great rowing nations that we see at these World Championships and the Olympics and other major events. The Greek rowers putting themselves in a position to fight for that top 2 spot. Now 20 meters in front of 3rd position.
These girls are coming up on the last 250 meters, starting their finish piece. You can hear the crowd cheering for them, letting them know that they're almost done. All their hard work in this race to finally finish.
Romania only one in the frame while they finish. Then next to them was Greece, coming in the top 2 there, moving on to the finals. Rounding off heat number 2 were the individual neutral athletes. Germany and Hungary will all have to compete in the repechage, having a second chance to make it into that final. Only 2 boats will make it on from the repechage into that final to make a 6-boat race, and then ultimately competing for a World Championship medal and all the prestige that brings to your career moving forward. You see everyone above the yellow line will move on to the finals. Unfortunately, the ones below will have to race again to get there. The next race we have the junior women's 4 heats. Number 1 of 2. A little different this time. Only one crew will make it to the finals. Everyone else will have to race again to get there. As of right now, it is Great Britain in the lead with about 20 meters difference between first and second.
We can see here them pushing off the starting gates. Big shout out to all those boat holders spending lots of time in the sun. I know it was long days when I used to boat hold for Henley and CSSRA. You'd be out there laying on that plank, holding so many boats you couldn't even count during a day, and you get to see so many amazing athletes. It's a really cool opportunity for those kids too, because it's those boat holders are normally children that are volunteering. Maybe their parents are also volunteering here. We have so many volunteers helping out on this island to make this regatta work and flow.
Yeah. Especially a prestigious event like the World Championships in St. Catharines. Only the second time that we've held it here. Last time was in 1999. Before all of these athletes competing now were even born, so first time for them to get a chance out on the water on Martindale Pond. In lane 1, Chinese Taipei. Lane 2, Germany. Italy in lane 3, Great Britain in lane 4. New Zealand is in lane 5, and lane 6 is Spain. One crew to make it to the finals. The British are out 20 meters in front of Italy, which is about a boat length difference. Not enough for it to be a comfortable lead. You still gotta follow your game plan through and through. But every stroke, they get closer and closer to making that finals and competing for a medal at this world stage. Great Britain, like we mentioned, a great growing nation. You come home, and everyone knows your name when you win. It's something that can never be understated, being a world champion. Fighting for that position here, a chance to get that gold medal. Great Britain will be your winners of heat number 1. With Italy just behind them. Unfortunately for them, they have to compete in the repechage to make it, but when you put up times like that, you're definitely confident in yourself and your crewmates, knowing that you can make it even if you do the same time you put up here. So a little bit of confidence that you can have from that race, although you didn't win. One, 2, and 3 being Great Britain, Italy, Germany, New Zealand in 4th, Spain in 5th, and the Chinese Taipei rounding off the end of heat number 1 of 2.
Like you said, the race does definitely give you confidence. Even if you didn't win, you know what you're up against. It's like a trial race, and you know maybe these women didn't give it everything. They're holding back a little bit, so that no one else will know that they're gonna be way faster in their next race, which is a strategy. I don't know if that's what these crews are doing now, but it is something that happens.
Yeah, you leave a little at the end.
Yeah.
And then your competitors, the other rowers, think, hey, these guys don't have the full 2,000 meters.
Mhm.
We can take them at the end. And then you race them in the repechage. And they do have the full 2,000 meters, and they have that sprint at the end unexpectedly. Heat number 2 here again. Only one will make the finals. Switzerland 1, Romania 2, France in lane 3, Australia 4, and Czechia closest to the cameras on Henley Island in lane number 5. A little bit of a closer race, this one. Czechia in the lead. Australia, Romania, France just 20 to 25 meters behind the leaders.
From this above view, we can see Czechia is out ahead by about a boat length. They're coming up on the last 500 meters.
You can really see that water opening up. You have on the far side of the water those trees, bushes, the land really protecting you from the winds and some of the conditions. But as you get just past that 1,500 meter mark, you don't have that protection anymore. And it really becomes an unknown factor with the winds and a couple of the water conditions. We've seen in past days, the crews have saved a decent amount of their energy to counteract that crosswind and have a strong finish. One of the strategies that the crews have talked about leading to this event as we reach the 250 meter mark, as you can see with the red buoys.
This above view is beautiful. You can see their puddles. You want the most distance in between each stroke in your puddles. That's a good indicator of the power you have in the boat, how big your puddle is. That's something we'd really focus on while rowing and training. You want big puddles, and you want them to shoot past the stern of the boat.
Czechia right now with a 20-meter lead, looking promising to move on to the final. But it's, yeah, like I said, 23, 24-meter lead on Romania, who at this rate will have to race in the repechage. Unfortunately, like the other heats we had, the top 2 make it. But this is a different discipline, so different number of racers. You can see just how tight that second place finish was. You almost have to think they're proving to themselves they can make it that last final push, getting used to what it'll feel like moving forward. Czechia 1, Romania 2, France in 3rd by a small margin. Australia 4, and then Switzerland there. Again, only a 10-second difference between the 5 boats. We're definitely getting treated greatly here, spoiled in St. Catharines, Canada, with great rowing all week. Nothing different here in the junior division, as Czechia finished with a time just under 6 minutes and 56 seconds. As we move to the men's side of the same discipline, the men's for heat number 1 of 2. We'll have 2 of the same races, although this time first and second place will move on to the finals. The other crews will have to try again in the repechage. Jana, would you like to share where every nation is in the lanes?
I can try. Lane 1, we have Germany. In lane 2, we have People's Republic of China. Lane 3, we have France. Lane 4, we have Italy. And lane 5, we have Romania racing down the course right now. Just past the 1,000-meter mark, so they're a little over halfway done this race.
Italy currently in the lead. Under 20 meters of difference between themselves and China. But we talked about only the top 2 will make it. And as you look between 2, 3, and 4 on your screen, they're all within 10 meters of each other, showing just how close that finish could possibly be. Again, yeah, we want to talk about just how young these athletes are. Possibly the first time they could be on international waters here in Canada. Italy first across the 3/4 way mark. Again, all of these rowers will still be in school, still have to balance their academics to try and put themselves in a good school, university, or college to keep rowing at a high level. We see here on the Italian team, their 2 middle riders are on the same side. You look at the others, it usually goes left, right, left, right. Jana, do you know why that is?
So the boat is bucket rigged. I feel like it's just personal preference, but we have seen a lot of bucket rigged boats coming in first, so maybe it's not personal preference and it actually has some beneficial factors, but I believe it's definitely just where the coach wants to put the athletes in the boat, and so they'll rig it differently, because most athletes only row one side. They're either a port or a starboard rower, so they can't really switch sides that often, so they will switch the rigging of the boat because that is a possibility.
The Italian team here crossing the finish line first. In second place there was China, I believe. The Italian in the stroke seat, Giovanni Paoli, won the gold medal last year at the World Rowing U19 Championship. So again, having that expertise under your belt, especially at a young age, you know what it takes to win, and being in that stroke seat, you can help show that strategy to the rest of your team by calling your shots and everything like that. Italy first place, China in second, third was Romania, fourth Germany, and France in fifth place there with an official time 6 minutes and 10 seconds from the Italians. The 2 first boats will move on to the finals. All other crews will have to race again for their chance at a medal.
All the fans in the grandstand here before the overlay went up to see the next race.
That race being the same discipline, heat number 2, Czechia in lane 1, Paraguay in lane 2, South Africa 3, Austria 4, Great Britain in 5. Great Britain right now putting up a pretty dominant lead to start off the first half of this race. 15 meters difference between themselves and the Austrians, who are currently finding themselves in second, followed closely by Czechia.
They're coming up on that 1,000 meters, and Great Britain is going to want to keep making that gap bigger between them and the next boat. They'll probably start a piece halfway through this race. Right now we can see Czechia racing down. We've got Great Britain here, passing the 1,000 meter mark. pretty close between second and third.
Again, only 2 spots in the finals to be given out in this race, in this heat number 2. So we might be delighted into another photo finish. We've already had a few today and a few for the junior division. Talk about just how young these athletes are and their dreams to pursue in the Olympics or other world championships. Alp Caradogan on the Great Britain crew. His dream is to make the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. But again, this season, just recovering from an injury, a back injury. So again, we'll see how that plays into the back end of this race. But again, when you face adversity like an injury, it definitely throws athletes off of their routine, and they have to form different habits to recover and still improve at that rate. Doing a great job right now. Great Britain still in the lead. It is now Czechia who put themselves in a distinct second place over Austria. About a 13-meter difference between them. But you really just see how close 13 meters really is when you get that overview. First, second, and third about a boat length in between each other. Love just listening into these larger crew races, and you hear that communication between the rider and the bow of the boat, talking where they need their power more to stay in the middle of the lane, get the straightest line possible to the finish. The Strokesy talking about when to strike, when to get into their final piece. Czechia 14 meters behind the British. Looks like distinctly that they will be the top 2 moving forward to the final. Austria falling behind, but still enough to be in 3rd place. They're gonna have a great chance to get into that final in the repechage later this week. You see all those fans on the fence cheering on their team. It is the British first on the other side of the water, Czechia second to finish off the guaranteed place in the finals. Third place, Austria. A great race from them. They were up with the top 3 of them for about 1,500 meters, and then as that water opened up, just lost speed, lost time. I wonder if that was something that had to do with the crew's rhythm or just their strategy or different things like that. I'm wondering what they'll talk about to do better in the repechage and make their way to the final. The official time, 6 minutes and 17 seconds for the British. Both themselves and Czechia will move on to the finals later this weekend. As we move on to the junior women's quadruple sculls, heat number 1 of 2 again. Switzerland is in lane 1, South Africa in lane 2, Poland lane 3. Beside them is Japan in 4, People's Republic of China in 5, and New Zealand is closest to the camera right now on the left side of your screen in lane 6. You saw as they passed the 500-meter mark, People's Republic of China really getting off to a good start, although Poland has caught up to them now. There's only a meter distance between the two of them. 10 meters behind that is the rowers from New Zealand. The top two will make it, excuse me, only the top one will make it to the final. So you really want to give it your all in this race and not have to race again to make it there. Jana, what's the mentality knowing you have, there's only one position to make it to the final in this race? And how does that change some of your strategies as you go forward into this race? And then if you potentially lose this one, what is your mentality going into the repechage?
I'd say there's definitely a lot of pressure. You definitely want that #1 spot so you don't have to race again to make it on. These athletes definitely have a very thorough race plan that they have practiced many times with each other in these boats, not on this course, but at their home course. They've been practicing, definitely timing their practices. They know what they can do, how they can perform, essentially. It's definitely just giving it your all. There's nothing else you can really do. You can't save anything. Even though you might have to race again, you still have to give it your all. Once you finish this race, you can go rest for a bit, collect yourself, and if you need to race again, you will be ready for that next race. You'll just have to forget about all the pain and suffering from this one and just think about the next one, and that's all that matters if you're moving on to that second race to move on to the final, I believe.
You can see the Polish rowers now putting a bit of distance between themselves and second place. China and New Zealand are closer together than they are to first.
Again, this overhead view is very nice. You can see the puddles that these women are producing. The amount of power in their legs in these boats is just amazing.
As we see the last 300 meters now, the stroke rates are gonna increase as they put a piece together for their sprint. Well, Poland might not have to put a sprint together as they're 25 meters in front of second place. But you still want to go for that best time, as the time directly correlates to where you are in which lane during the final. Nothing unusual happened in the last 50 meters there. Poland will come away with the victory. And China, third place was fairly close there. We'll have to wait for the official time, but Poland moving on to the final A. 6 minutes and 45 seconds is their official time. Second place was the People's Republic of China. Still waiting for that time to come across the screen. Excuse me, it wasn't China.
It was Switzerland.
Switzerland.
It's hard to tell on the screen with the finish. The big white buoys isn't actually the finish line. If you've never been to the course, you probably wouldn't know. The finish line is just a little bit before it. There's so many people in that big new finish tower we have, making sure all of these times are absolutely perfect. But yeah, Switzerland came in second, and then
sorry, we have a
switched it around.
They switched it in the time booth. Poland is your first place winner. China is number 2. Switzerland was 3. New Zealand 4. South Africa 5. And Japan in 6. Again, sometimes you have these GPS devices on the boats, so sometimes they give off
different times,
a different time, a different signal.
And then the people in the finish tower actually give us the official times. So when races are super close, they kind of switch around. We were just reading what our screen gave us, but then it all switched.
This is why we can't trust the technology sometimes, but it does a great job for the most part. Sometimes you have those little mishaps, but again, it was Poland there. Moving on to the final. Moving on to the next heat, the last heat of the women's quadruple sculls. Italy in 1, Czechia in 2, USA 3, Australia 4, Germany 5, Great Britain in 6.
These women are a little over halfway done this 2,000 meter race, coming up on the 1,500 meter mark pretty soon. These girls have definitely maybe done a few pieces in the middle of this. Again, another pretty close race. Coming down the course, you can see these girls, if you look in the boats, you can see some more than just the stroke have a stroke coach, which helps them all stay very in time. They can see exactly how fast they're going. If they need to speed up, they probably know at certain pylons when to increase their rate and power, and your stroke coach or speed coach will tell you the exact strokes per minute you're going, which is super helpful in these races to stay in time and on time with your race plan.
Watching these junior divisions and seeing the athletes come from all different walks of life and different times. The German rower, Linnea Estelle Reuter, only started rowing January 2023.
Wow.
So now her second full season of rowing, getting a chance to represent her nation in the World Championships.
It's amazing.
And another thing to add is the biggest challenge for Veronika Vakova in the Czechia boat is she is her own trainer. She makes her own workout plans, and she's been training in the gym throughout the whole winter. And now she was doing it on her own without the rowing team. Now she's obviously with the team training on this World Championship stage. Only 30 meters behind the Italians, who are currently in first in the last 100 meters.
Still amazing. Such discipline to be able to do that all on your own and want to do that. It's a big thing of wanting to train and wanting to win.
The Italians crossing the finish line first will join the Polish crew in the finals. The official time, 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Germany in second place, 6 minutes 44 seconds. And rounding out your top three, Great Britain, 6 minutes 47.22 seconds, with Czechia fourth place. We talked about Veronika in the bow of the boat. Australia fifth, United States in sixth place there for heat number 2 of the women's quadruple sculls. The last heat in that event. As we cast our eyes on the junior women's coxed 8. 8 rowers in the boat, 1 coxie. Again, lots of power in this boat. The battle is to have the best technique as well, pushing yourselves to win. This will be a preliminary event, so all of these 6 crews will face again, possibly in different lanes, as that is what they are competing for here, to also get their rhythm down and just feel what it's like to be out on this water in St. Catharines. USA is in lane 1, Italy in lane 2, Great Britain in lane 3, Germany in 4, the host country of Canada is in 5, and Austria is in 6.
I think these 8s are the most interesting to watch. It's definitely the most interesting to row, my favorite boat to row, personally. It's just so nice being in a big boat with, I guess, 8 other girls, because you have the coxie as well, and see these coxies are sitting at the front of the boat looking at the athletes. When these athletes get up to the catch, they should be leaning to their side of the boat so the coxie can see all the way down the boat, if they have good technique, which these athletes most certainly do. But you can see this coxie just yelling at these girls, motivationally yelling, obviously, motivating them to keep pushing, keep going, close the gap. It's just really nice being in a big boat with these other girls, rowing for the other girls. It's a really great opportunity for them.
At the top of your screen, you see the United States, who are currently in the lead, 30 meters in front of the British, who are in second. Again, this is just preliminary, so seeing how the water feels under the boat here, getting used to the Canadian water. You see the coxie staying low, staying as aerodynamic as possible. One thing to add is the coxie is usually smaller, but they do have a minimum weight that they have to be of 55 kilograms.
And if they're not that weight, they have to bring weights into the boat with them, and they get checked as they're going onto the dock to make sure everything is correct and everything is fair and equal between these boats.
It gets a little more intense when it comes to the lightweight divisions, but we haven't seen that just yet today. Again, the coxies would have weighed in 2 hours prior to this race, and then accordingly put, either if they had to, put weight on the boat if need be. USA with a comfortable 30-meter lead over the British. To get the best time here, we'll get a middle lane in the finals. They'll most likely be the British next to them, as we see Italy 70 meters behind the States of America. And this is what you want to see when you replay the video. Your crew being the only team on the screen while finishing the race. 6 minutes 26.14. Great Britain 6 minutes and 32 seconds. And then the Italians behind them, 6 minutes 40 seconds to round out your top 3. Austria 4th, Canada, and then Germany rounding out the bottom 2. So that was the women's Coxed 8 preliminary race. All crews will race again. No yellow line to think of here. All made the finals. But they switched positions in the lanes, and now they will compete for the World Championship gold medal this weekend. Now we look at the men's side of the Coxed 8 preliminary race. Same thing on the line, is just whoever has the best time will reach the middle lanes in the finals. Germany lane 1, New Zealand in 2, Great Britain 3, United States of America in 4, Canada in 5, and then the French in lane 6. We see some of the greatest rowing nations here continuing their tradition of dominance right now as they cross the 1,000 meter mark. It is Great Britain with a boat length in between themselves and beside them being New Zealand and USA. Again, when you have 8 rowers in this boat, the power outage, not the power outage, but the power output, as I should say, is so immense that they're just gliding through the water with the speed. The top of the boat behind the rowers will be a little bit out of the water because of the weight in the boat. You see the meters per stroke, one of the highest you'll see. It's at 9 meters per stroke, 20 kilometers an hour. These boys are flying through the water right now, pushing themselves, seeing what they're made of, and then in the finals they just replicate that or do even better to come out on top. Crossing the 1,500 meter mark line now. Great Britain, number 1. Number 2 is USA, 3. Australia. There's the German boat. And then just behind them is France and Canada.
It's crazy to see Great Britain, as they passed through the 1,000 meter mark, they had a rate of 35, but USA, right behind them, has a rate of 38. Great Britain, obviously, they've got more power in the boat. Not more power, but just they're using more power than rate. And USA is using rate to try and catch up to Great Britain right now.
Which is what they're doing right now. They were at 30 meters, now closing it by half. About 15 meters behind them now. Last 200 meters is going to be a close one.
When you're out ahead, most of the time, you'll slow down a bit in the rate and just stay on the legs, stay on the power, making sure you're setting up the boat and just staying in time is what you got to focus on when you're out ahead.
Great Britain seem to have held on, keeping their distance between themselves and USA. As you see the British crossing the line, and then the Americans, New Zealand, Germany, and it'll be France and then Canada to finish off this preliminary race. You will see now, like you did this race, Great Britain and USA will stay in the 2 middle lanes. So it'll be a very similar race as this one. I think it's only going to be Canada and France who will switch spots moving into the finals. So again, you're going to be racing beside the same people you were racing in this one. It's going to be a matter of keeping up and putting a little more effort into getting across that finish line first. The official times for the men's Coxed 8 U19 division: Great Britain 5 minutes 45 seconds, USA 5 minutes 48, New Zealand 5:52, Germany 5:55, France 6:01, and Canada 6:06, 20 seconds behind the leaders. As we move on to semifinals now, the women's lightweight single sculls. So the winners for the first 3 I should say. We'll move on to the C final. The remaining crews will go to the D final, a lot like what we saw this morning. Lane 1, Hungary. Lane 2, Canada. Lane 3, Tunisia. In lane 4, Hong Kong, China. Canada right now in the lead. Very close with Khalid Krimi of Tunisia. Again, a very different race than what we just saw. We're going from 9 people in the boat to just 1. Yana, can you talk about just the difference of mentality you must have when you're the only rower in the boat on this water?
Of course. Personally, for me, I do not like rowing a single. I give props to all these athletes that can race these 2,000 meters and have amazing times and just keep going, because like we talked about before, it is a big mental game. You have to want that. And for me, racing in a single, I don't know. I'm a lot better in a crew boat. I race for the other girls in my boat. I race for them to win. Me too, but I do it more for the other people in the boat, and it really, having other people with you helps you stay motivated, because you're not gonna just stop mid-race, right? You're not gonna mess up all those other athletes that have trained so hard. But some people love rowing singles and would much rather row these smaller crew boats than be in a big boat, just because mentally they want to row for themselves. They want to win that gold. They want to win that race and prove to themselves that they can do it. And that's really amazing and awesome to see in these races. Like, you can tell these athletes are giving it their all, and they've trained so hard for this, and they really want it.
Yeah. The Tunisian rower currently in the lead, Carissa Riley of Canada. Extremely close. Again, you see the stroke rate 35 from the Hungarian rower, trying to catch up, do her due diligence to get back into contention to come in the top 2 there. With 4 people in this race, 4 rowers on the water, the top 3 will move on. So again, it's a very different race than we usually see, with 6 and half will move on. You just can't come last and you will move on to the final, the C final. But I think we're going to be in for a treat here at this finish line if this keeps up, because they are right next to each other.
Yeah, we've got like 2 different races going on right now in the same race.
Yeah, the race for first place and then the race for third place to get into the C final. Both are extremely close. Maybe not close to each other, but a little 2v2 action.
They're coming up on the last 500 meters. Once they see that pylon, they'll know that this is the time to lay it all out there, lay it all on the course, all the kilometers they've put in training, all the early mornings, late nights, every single practice they've ever done leading up to this. You can see the technique is so beautiful from these athletes.
In Tunisia, it is not known as much as Canada. Canada has the most lakes in the world in the country. Tunisia, not so much. They only have a couple, so what the rowers usually do is they'll go from the north coast of Africa into Europe and find some lakes there to get on-water training. Doing a great job right now. Carissa Riley from Canada, giving herself a little bit of a gap. Getting into her last 250 meters. Will probably have just a little bit left to keep that distance between herself and Khadija Krimi of Tunisia. Again, we see top three move on. Hong Kong, China, currently in that position with Doriana Bene from Hungary just falling behind the top three to then move on to the D final. Such a tough race. Give it all you got. You're the only one in the boat. It looks like Carissa Riley will be the second Canadian to come first in a race here in St. Catharines, Canada, on her home soil. 20 meters now ahead of second place, crossing that finish line. Tunisia there, second place. Hong Kong, China across the line now, and then Hungary falling in that fourth place position. Carissa Riley, what a race. 7 minutes, 56 seconds. 5 full seconds in front of second place, where it was tight from pretty much start to finish. Riley really came out the last 500 meters, put it all on the line, and it showed, paid off, getting that first place position, moving into that C final. An amazing performance by the Canadian here at the World Rowing Championships in St. Catharines.
You can see all the boats from all the crews on the island here on this above view. It's really cool to see all these beautiful boats. It's the best of the best out here today.
Moving on to the second semifinal of the lightweight single sculls. Japan in lane 1, South Africa lane 2. Portugal in lane 3 and Thailand in lane 4. We talked a little bit earlier about the Coxie and what their weight limit is. For the lightweight women's division, as there's only one rider in the boat, they have to reach a weight limit below 59 kilograms 2 hours before the race.
Which I believe is like 130 pounds, around that.
Yeah. Again, if you do not make weight qualifications, unfortunately you are disqualified from the regatta. Fortunately, we've only seen that once this week. That was the Singapore rower. We see South Africa right now, 20 meters difference between herself and Japan. Again, the goal in this race is to just not come last. And the top three will move on to the C final to join the Canadian Carissa Riley, Hong Kong, and the Tunisian rower from the last semifinal. Just passing the 1,500 meter mark, last quarter of the race. And we talked so much today about those checkpoints and when you want to put a piece together, which is a part of your strategy. A lot of nations we see are known for their strong starts and strong finishes. Some others will turn it on just in the second half of the race. So a lot of different mindsets, a lot of different strategy coming into the World Championships 2024 here, just weeks after the Paris Olympics.
You can see these girls propelling themselves towards the finish line. Again, looking at the puddles, you can see how much power is in every single stroke that they make. Everything is very calculated. And they're just very, very well trained.
You have to be here at the World Championships. It's only the best of the best here in St. Catharines. And we mentioned the Olympic Games were only a few weeks ago, so that's why you won't see the open weight division for the men's and women's single scull events. They decided every 4 years when the Olympics happened to do every event that wasn't at the Olympics at the World Championships that year to give everybody a chance to compete at a high level and get their effort shown. Great performance from South Africa, Nadia Gaspari. First place across the finish line. There you see at the top, Japan. And then in third place will be the Portuguese, Ines Oliveira, to round out the C final. And then it'll be the athlete from Thailand moving on to the D final later this week. Again, so you're facing a lot of the same rowers you did in the semifinal. You'll face again in the final. You add a couple of different lanes, or you add a couple competitors there. And it changes the whole race. This time they'll be racing against 5 other rowers to make a total of 6 rowers in the final C. Moving on to the next semifinal of the day is the men's lightweight single sculls. So we saw a lot of these athletes in the repechage on Tuesday. In lane 1, Palestine, Emil Yunus in lane 1. Stephen Harris of Canada, lane 2. Garth Gadri, Tunisia, lane 3. Yasra Hilalampi in lane 4 from Finland. Stephen Harris of Canada right now in the lead, about a 30 meter, excuse me. These races don't go on for that long.
That's only in the fall when they're doing the head racing.
Yeah, or the coastal routes later this year. But right now moving about 4.5 meters per second. Stephen Harris still in the lead, 30 meters difference. Top 3 will move on to the C final. If you come last place in the semifinal, you will move on to the D final for another race against one more athlete then. You can just see the difference between first and second there. Another Canadian and Tunisian 1 and 2, just like the first semifinal of the women's division. We'll definitely keep an eye on just how much the water has changed from just 2 days ago now on Tuesday. The times for the repechage was about 7 minutes and 50 seconds to complete the race. There you had Stephen Harris of Canada and Garth Gadri from Tunisia. in the middle lanes are the top 2 times during that repechage. Unfortunately, couldn't make the semifinals for the A final and the B final, but still putting on a strong performance for the home crowd is Stephen Harris. Looking to finish just over that 7-minute mark. So again, about 1 minute, just under 1 minute difference between the times just a few days ago and today. You can see the weather conditions and the water conditions are definitely a little more favorable for these rowers than it was earlier this week.
I feel like it might be definitely a little hot out. It is 21 degrees right now. That's why a lot of the time you see these rowers, after they're done their race, they put their feet right in the water to cool down. It's definitely very hot with the sun beating down on them. That whole 2,000 meters. I love when it's a little bit overcast, but then still flat waters. I feel the best weather to race in. Maybe even a little rain helps you cool down a bit.
Interesting. Yeah, today we got all sun, no clouds. Like you said, 21 degrees outside. We'll have a high of 25. That should be after the races are completed. That was the result of semifinal number 1 to get into the C final. Stephen Harris comes out on top. And we're here in the men's lightweight single sculls second semifinal. Peru, lane 1, Japan, lane 2, Argentina, lane 3, and Norway in 4. This will be the last race of the morning session. There will be about 2 to 3 hour break between the morning and the afternoon. That gives the rowers some time to get on the water, get warmed up, train a little for the competition later on in the week, the races later on in the week. But it's been a great morning so far. Lots of close finishes. We've finally seen a couple Canadians win on home soil. That's been pretty rare this week. As of right now, we got a really close race between the top 3. Japan won, Argentina and Norway. You couldn't even put a hair between the 2 boats. Extremely close, going stroke for stroke. The athlete from Peru only 25 meters behind. We haven't seen too many comebacks from that distance today. But if you were here yesterday, you definitely saw a lot of close races, a lot of crews coming in from behind to take away a victory from other crews. Right now, Japan putting 38 strokes per minute through the water, putting up a great speed through it as well. Again, if you're new to rowing, maybe just catching in for the first time, this is the semifinals for the C and D final. So what that means is there will be no medal contention for these rowers, but it's still a great experience to race against different nationalities, different strategies, and get your reps in on international waters. Maybe a course you're not used to being on is great to know at this high level sporting event we're at here at the World Championships. Japan still out in the lead, about a 15-meter difference or so. The first 3 will move on to the C final. Peru now falling just a little bit far behind, 70 meters behind the leader in the white, the Japanese rower. So again, it is a very close race still, but once you get in that top 3, it's The race is a little bit over as of right now, all competing for the best time to get the middle lanes in the final.
We've got Japan at a 39 strokes per minute, really up in that rate to get that fastest time. Even though he's out ahead, he wants that, maybe he wants that personal best, that PB in this race. And he's gonna row all the way through the finish strong.
Yeah, Mitsu Nishimura with a high stroke rate the entire way through that race. Really great job from him keeping that up through and through. It was close through the halfway mark, and he was the only one who kept his pace up and ultimately came across with a 5-second victory over the Argentinian and the Norwegian, 10 seconds behind him. The official times for the second semifinal was 7 minutes 15 seconds from Mitsu Nishimura. Pedro Dixon, 7 minutes 20 seconds. Oscar Sodal, 7 minutes 24 seconds. And then Lucas Salmon Hernandez from Peru, 7 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll move on to the D final later on this week. What an amazing morning it was for rowing here in St. Catharines, Canada. Next to perfect weather conditions, the water is smooth, the sun is shining. You cannot expect anything better here from this week of the World Championships of Rowing in 2024. This afternoon we'll have back to the U19s, a couple repêchages to compete for that medal contention, to be in that A final. But again, a great chance to compete at a high level international waters. We'll take a short break for a few hours, let the training commence here at the 2024 World Rowing Championships. My name is Micah Newitz.
And I'm Yana Paquin.
And we will be back very shortly with the afternoon session here in St. Catharines.
Niagara College programs immerse students with a highly experiential learning environment enhanced by digital technologies. We place students at the center of all that we do. We are Niagara College.
Tired of searching for that one keyboard shortcut? We solve technology so you don't have to. At SkyComp, we are lifelong learners, always upgrading our skills and reading about the next new IT thing. Go to skycomp.ca/learn to better use the programs you work with every day. SkyComp Solutions, your technology support partner.
people don't see that I go and get Botox in my leg, or that I go and have to do different stretches and different training than other people. Saying, like, you don't really have a disability, like, you shouldn't classify as para, and there's misconceptions on whether or not my disability is not that bad, and me kind of not telling people, and they don't understand how I grew up and all the like stretching every night, and I would have to do walks and build my way up to things that went into getting me to where I am now that I don't think people realize, and they just see, oh, like, you fit in with everyone else, and it's because I've put the work in to get there. My name's Abigail Durliet. I'm 17 years old, and I'm from St Catharines, Ontario. I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was 2. I was just a slow walker. I was a very slow walker, and I started crawling quickly but not walking, and I wasn't walking. So I started with a brace, and I think up until 7th grade I was wearing it. When I heard that there was a possibility of me not having to wear my brace anymore, I kind of started doing all my stretching. I started walking a lot with my mom, biking, trying to do anything to not wear it. I wanted to go into high school without having to wear it because, you know, you're meeting new people, and I definitely got made fun of for it a little bit in elementary school, and never wanted to talk about it, never wanted to tell anyone about it because I felt embarrassed and ashamed of it. Starting high school, I didn't tell anyone, and my coaches, like, no one ever knew until this year. This was the first coach that I had that ever recognized it and noticed it, so but I'm glad that he did notice it in the end because it opened a lot of opportunities and doors for me. When I told him, he was like, oh, you might qualify for para, and I found out I did. There was just so much there that I wasn't expecting. So, you know, I've been training a lot more since then. I've been upping my training quite a bit, and it's a lot more motivating when you have bigger goals to get to that you think are more achievable.
It's all new, it's all learning, it's all figuring out what para rowing looks like and what it could look like, because right now is one way, but the more para rowers we have, I think, you know, the visibility increases, then that helps to attract more para athletes, and then it just makes it easier to have these para events, because it's always been these pockets. It's kind of the role, you know, you'll take on. You know, Mia's doing some of it now, and
yeah,
is, you know, because you're so young and you'll be in it for so long, and say, okay, make it easier for whoever the next person is, so they don't have to kind of repave the road every single time we get a para athlete, and like we're starting from scratch again.
Biggest achievement was probably reaching the developmental standard for para for Team Canada, and then I got accepted to race at Worlds. Unfortunately, we're not going to race, but I was scheduled to race, so that was a big achievement for me. Kind of knew that it had been a thought that it was going to get canceled because there wasn't enough para athletes. There's not many para rowers, and so a lot of them are in Paris right now. I think numbers is a huge thing. Even recently at Henley, we did a race, and it was straight final, which is very uncommon for a race like Henley. I think my other races, we had like 50 boats per event. In this race, we only had 2 boats, so, and it was largely Americans. There's not very many here in St Catharines, so just definitely a lack of people, so.
Most of our work is with people who are not athletic, actually. A percentage of work with those elite level athletes would be very small. It would be probably in the 1% to 2% range. And that's an interesting issue because what we gain from that work and working with elite level athletes really stretches us, really stretches our capacity as a company and as practitioners to explore the highest level of care that those people require to perform at their elite level. But what's really fascinating about that very small population group is that the demands that they put on themselves and on us as practitioners and as providers helps us to extend that work and that level of expertise into the rest of our population. Because 98% of the people we need have got needs in, whether that's recreational sport or everyday needs like getting around their home. our role is to take that level of expert care and technology and componentry and everything that we've learned in all aspects of our practice and apply it to our entire population.
This is my brace from Niagara Prosthetics. This is the first one I ever got, so it would have been around 2. It helped to keep my leg straight because my leg was very crooked. It's gotten better now, but it helped to keep my leg straight and helped to get me walking. So I have a very similar one that I have now that I only wear it to bed now. I definitely want to go to Worlds next year. There's talks about World Cup 1 and 2 in Italy and Switzerland next year, so I'm really hoping that I can do that and there will be entries for that. So definitely trying to work and get faster so that I have a better chance of going. And a longer term goal would definitely be going to the Paralympics, so I'm kind of keeping that in the back of my head and remembering that when I want to decide if I'm going to do a bike workout or not. You know, I got cut from a lot of sports growing up, especially in high school, because, you know, I didn't think I was good enough. And then growing, you know, I put the work in, so I was able to train with everyone else like normal. And, you know, I train with the Simcoe boys team most of the year, so it's realizing that you are good enough if you are able to put the work in. Rowing's a sport that you have to put a lot of time in and a lot of work in, so being dedicated and knowing that if you put the work in, you can get there, but it's a lot about your mindset.
Adulthood is full of surprises, maybe too full of surprises. That's why CAA Niagara has reliable insurance plans. Be ready for the unexpected expenses with home, auto, life, travel, and pet insurance plans. Plus, CAA members get exclusive pricing on all of our plans. Because adulting is hard, but CAA Niagara makes it easy. Click today for your free online quote.
At Genesis Niagara, the most important feature in every Genesis is you. Designed with the simple idea that the experience of owning your Genesis should be as exceptional as the vehicle itself. It's about valuing your time, respecting your lifestyle, and making things effortless, and building a relationship based on trust. Genesis Niagara serving Hamilton, Niagara, where you are at the center of everything we do.
Team Canada and Pilataria Estates Winery unite with a perfect pairing of tradition and excellence. Deeply rooted in pride, respect, and the pursuit of greatness. Celebrate the Olympic spirit with every toast.
When you're purchasing swimwear from the Salty Bikini, you're getting beauty, confidence, and the latest in swimwear fashion. Every woman deserves to feel like a goddess in her swimsuit. Say goodbye to stress and hello to confidence as you shop with us. The Salty Bikini is proud to be a platinum sponsor of the 2024 World Rowing Championships. Good luck to all the competitors. Come see us in-store at the Salty Bikini. We're located in the Ridley Heights Plaza in St Catharines, Ontario, or visit us online at thesaltybikini.ca.
Welcome to White Meadows Farms. Join our Discover Maple Sugar Bush tour and explore the world of maple syrup. Meet our expert guide and discover traditions that have thrived for centuries. Hop aboard a tractor-drawn wagon and journey to the heart of our forest. Indulge in legendary treats like taffy on snow and experience our 100% pure maple syrup. Finish with a maple syrup tasting and see how we elevate maple beyond the breakfast table. Book your experience today and discover everything Canadian maple.
The universe does it with a big bang. Wonderful pistachios. Get cracking.
Niagara College Vault